The storm outside mirrored the tempest inside me. I was sprawled on the couch, nursing a glass of whiskey, when I noticed something strange peeking out from behind the leather-bound family photo album on the bookshelf. My fingers, trembling slightly, reached out and pulled the album free. It had been years since I'd opened it. Our children's school pictures, holiday snapshots, and other memories gathered dust in its pages. But tonight, it was the scent of old paper that filled the room, mingling with the faint chill of the storm. I was about to close the album when a piece of folded stationery slipped out and fell onto the floor. The envelope was unmarked, but the handwriting on the letter was unmistakable, a graceful, looping script I recognized instantly as Kate's. My heart pounded as I carefully unfolded the letter. The words leapt off the page, each one a blade slicing through my chest. Kate's professed love for Tom, her colleague, was laid bare in those intimate lines. They spoke of longing, desire, and a secret rendezvous. My vision blurred as the realization settled in: the woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd built a life with, was betraying me. I could hardly believe it. Kate and I had always been the picture of a perfect couple. Our marriage was supposed to be solid, unshakable. And now here it was, reduced to ash by these words. I was numb, my thoughts swirling as I tried to process what I'd just read. Tom had always seemed like an amiable enough guy, friendly, competent, the sort you'd think of as just another face in the office. I never suspected there was anything more sinister behind his charm. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I began to collect evidence. I started by scrutinizing Kate's daily routines. Her late nights at the office, her phone calls that she'd hastily end whenever I walked into the room. Everything began to make sense in a horrifying new light. I was watching her, but more importantly, I was now watching Tom. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon something alarming. Tom's name was linked to a series of questionable transactions and financial maneuvers within the company. It seemed he was skimming funds, playing a dangerous game with the corporate till. I couldn't believe my luck, or my burgeoning sense of righteous anger. I devised a plan. I would expose Tom at the next corporate meeting. I meticulously gathered all the evidence, making sure it was irrefutable. I'd be thorough. There would be no room for Tom to wriggle out of this. I had to ensure that when the truth came out, it would be devastating. The day of the meeting arrived, and I was ready. As I stood in front of the room, the gathered employees and executives looked at me with a mix of curiosity and expectation. I launched into my presentation, laying out the damning evidence against Tom with a cold, precise delivery. Tom's face turned a shade of white I'd never seen before as the revelations unfolded. His attempts at denial were futile against the weight of the proof. The aftermath was swift and unforgiving. Tom was fired on the spot, his reputation in tatters. It was a scene I had both hoped for and dreaded. The sense of justice was tainted by the realization of what had been sacrificed. Kate's reaction was as expected, a blend of confusion and remorse. She realized that her affair had not only destroyed our marriage but also had significant repercussions on her career. Watching her struggle to grasp the extent of her actions was almost unbearable. Our confrontation was inevitable. In the quiet aftermath of the corporate storm, we sat down, and I laid everything bare. Kate's apologies were empty echoes in the cavern of my hurt. The damage was done, and there was no turning back. The days that followed were a blur of emotion and decision-making. The thrill of vengeance gave way to a more profound sense of loss. My marriage was shattered, and though I had won this battle, the war within me was far from over. As I stood alone, contemplating the future, I knew one thing for certain: the path ahead was uncertain. But it was mine to walk alone. The days following the corporate meeting were a whirlwind of chaos and despair. My initial satisfaction from exposing Tom's fraudulent activities was quickly overshadowed by the wreckage left behind. I watched as Kate, usually composed and graceful, unraveled in the face of the mess she had created. Our home, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison. Every corner seemed to echo with the weight of our broken promises. Kate tried to salvage what was left of her career. But the damage was severe. The company she had been so dedicated to had turned its back on her. Her reputation was tainted, and her once promising future was in jeopardy. One evening, after days of barely speaking, Kate approached me with a tentative look. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice cracking. I gestured toward the living room, where we could sit down. The silence that followed was thick, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Jackson, I didn't realize the full extent of what I was doing. I thought it was just about us, but I see now how much more I've ruined. I stared at her, struggling to reconcile the woman I had loved with the person who had betrayed me. Kate, it wasn't just about us. You've hurt everyone, me, you, even Tom. And now your career is in shambles. Tears welled in her eyes. I never meant for it to go this far. I thought I could keep it all separate. I shook my head, a mix of frustration and sadness boiling over. You were living in a fantasy world. Kate, this was never just about keeping things separate. You made a choice, and now we all have to live with the consequences. The conversation didn't bring any relief. If anything, it left me feeling emptier. I had no desire to mend things with Kate, not while the shards of our life together were still sharp and dangerous. The next few weeks were a series of legal and emotional battles. Kate's attempts to negotiate a soft landing with her employer were unsuccessful. She found herself ostracized, with job offers disappearing as quickly as they had appeared. The weight of her actions was becoming painfully clear to her. Amid the chaos, I began to reassess my own life. The sense of vindication I felt was fleeting. I had won a battle, but the war within me raged on. I found myself sinking into a routine of work and solitary pursuits, trying to fill the void left by the collapse of my marriage. One morning, as I reviewed some documents at my desk, a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. It was a package. Inside, an envelope with a card from an old friend offering support and a chance to reconnect. It was a small gesture, but it reminded me that there were still people who cared, despite the mess my life had become. I began to slowly reach out, accepting invitations and making an effort to rebuild connections that had withered in the wake of my focus on my career and personal vendettas. These small steps provided a semblance of normalcy and a way to cope with the pain. As I navigated this new chapter, it became increasingly clear that the path to healing was not about revenge but about finding a way to move forward. The storm that had raged through my life was calming, but the remnants of the destruction were still visible. Kate's struggle was a daily reminder of the high price of betrayal. Her face, once a source of comfort, was now a symbol of what was lost. But as time passed, the sharp edges of my anger began to soften. I started to see the importance of focusing on my own future rather than dwelling on the past. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was determined to walk it with renewed purpose. The lessons learned from this turbulent period would shape my path, and while the scars would remain, I hoped they would eventually serve as reminders of resilience and growth. In the end, the aftermath of the storm had left me standing alone, but it was in this solitude that I found the strength to begin anew. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself slipping into a new rhythm. The house was quieter without Kate's constant presence, but I was starting to find solace in the solitude. I had set a personal goal to rebuild my life piece by piece, not by clinging to the past but by forging ahead. One day, I received an unexpected call from an old college friend, Sam, who had heard about my recent upheaval. We hadn't been in touch for years, but his timing was impeccable. He invited me to spend a weekend at his lake house, suggesting it might be a good opportunity for some much-needed perspective. I hesitated, but ultimately, I accepted the invitation. The change of scenery seemed like just what I needed. As I drove up to Sam's lake house, the tension that had built up over the past few months began to loosen its grip. The tranquility of the lake and the surrounding woods provided a stark contrast to the chaos I had been living in. Sam greeted me warmly, his familiar face offering a sense of comfort. We spent the weekend fishing, hiking, and catching up. The simplicity of those days, combined with Sam's easygoing nature, allowed me to relax in ways I hadn't thought possible. It was refreshing to talk about something other than the wreckage of my personal life. On our last evening at the lake house, Sam and I sat by the fire, the crackling flames casting flickering shadows. I took a deep breath and shared more about my situation, the betrayal, and the aftermath. Sam listened intently, offering supportive words and practical advice. "You know," Sam said thoughtfully, "sometimes, the best way to move forward is to focus on what you want for yourself. Not what you've lost. It's about finding new goals and making choices that align with who you want to be." His words struck a chord with me. I realized that while I had been fixated on the destruction and revenge, I hadn't spent much time thinking about what I truly wanted for my future. Returning home, I decided to make some changes. I started by reorganizing my office space, turning it into a more inviting and efficient environment. I also began exploring new hobbies and interests, things I had neglected during the turbulent years of my marriage. One of the first things I did was to enroll in a cooking class. It was a small but significant step toward reconnecting with myself. I had always enjoyed cooking, but it had fallen by the wayside. The class was a revelation, providing not just culinary skills but a sense of accomplishment and joy that had been missing from my life. I also reached out to some of my old colleagues and acquaintances, rekindling relationships that had faded over time. It was refreshing to reconnect with people who knew me before the chaos of my recent years. These interactions helped rebuild my social circle and reminded me of who I used to be before everything fell apart. As the months passed, Kate's attempts to reach out dwindled. I received a few messages, mostly apologies and pleas for understanding. While I appreciated her remorse, I had no desire to rekindle anything with her. My focus was firmly on my own recovery and growth. Kate eventually moved out of town to seek new opportunities. Her departure marked a significant shift in my life. And while it was bittersweet, it was also liberating. I no longer had to navigate the daily reminders of what was lost. Instead, I could look forward to the possibilities ahead. By the time summer rolled around, I had made considerable progress in finding my new rhythm. The house, once filled with echoes of betrayal, now felt like a blank canvas, ready to be filled with new experiences and memories. One evening, as I stood on the porch watching the sunset, I reflected on how far I had come. The pain of the past was still there, but it was no longer the defining feature of my life. Instead, I was starting to embrace a future that was shaped by resilience and hope. The journey was far from over, but each step forward was a testament to the strength I had discovered within myself. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace and anticipation for what was to come. With summer's arrival, I began to embrace a newfound sense of purpose. My days were filled with activities that brought me joy and a renewed focus on personal growth. The house was slowly becoming a reflection of this new chapter in my life, organized, bright, and welcoming. One morning, as I walked through the local farmer's market, I stumbled upon a booth selling handmade pottery. The vibrant colors and unique designs caught my eye. The artist, a woman named Laura, was engaging and enthusiastic about her work. We struck up a conversation, and she mentioned that she taught pottery classes at a nearby studio. I was intrigued. It seemed like a perfect opportunity to explore a new creative outlet. I signed up for a class, eager to dive into something different. The first few sessions were a mix of excitement and frustration. Pottery was more challenging than I had anticipated, but the process of shaping clay and creating something tangible was incredibly therapeutic. Laura and I became friends over time. Her studio became a sanctuary where I could escape the remnants of my past and immerse myself in something fulfilling. As I honed my skills, I started to feel a sense of accomplishment that had been missing for years. Meanwhile, my professional life continued to thrive. My work as a lawyer remained demanding, but I approached it with a renewed perspective. The personal growth I experienced through my new hobbies and social interactions translated into a more balanced and productive approach to my career. I felt more confident and less burdened by the weight of past betrayals. One day, while working on a pottery piece at Laura's studio, I received a call from an old client who had heard about my recent transformation. They needed legal assistance with a complex case, and they wanted me to take it on. It was an opportunity to prove my skills and make a positive impact. I accepted the case, and it quickly became one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences of my career. The case involved intricate legal issues, and my meticulous approach was critical in navigating the complexities. As I delved into the work, I found that my new sense of purpose and creativity positively influenced my problem-solving abilities. Through the process, I became more involved in the local community. I volunteered my time to provide pro bono legal services for those in need, which added a layer of fulfillment to my professional life. It was a way to give back and use my skills to make a difference, something I had always wanted to do but had never prioritized. As the months went by, I noticed a shift in how I perceived my past. While the memories of betrayal and heartache still lingered, they no longer defined my daily existence. Instead, I focused on the present and the future, finding joy in the simple things and celebrating the progress I had made. Kate's occasional messages continued, but I chose not to respond. My decision to move forward was about more than just closing a chapter. it was about embracing a new narrative for my life. I had learned that holding onto anger and resentment only hindered my growth, and it was time to let go. One evening, as I sat on the porch watching the sunset, I reflected on the journey I had undertaken. The path I was on was no longer shaped by the past but by the choices I was making for my future. The scars from the past were still there, but they had become a part of a broader tapestry that now included hope, creativity, and a renewed sense of self. In the end, the journey of healing and self-discovery was ongoing, but I felt a deep sense of peace and satisfaction. The new path I had forged was one of resilience and growth, and I was ready to continue walking it, knowing that each step forward was a testament to my strength and determination. As the seasons changed, so did I. The future remained uncertain, but I faced it with a sense of optimism and a readiness to embrace whatever came next. As the leaves began to change and autumn approached, I found myself reflecting on the personal transformation I had undergone over the past year. The sense of renewal and purpose that had emerged from the chaos of my previous life was beginning to solidify into something meaningful and sustainable. One crisp fall morning, as I was on my way to the pottery studio, I received an email that caught my attention. It was an invitation to a local charity event focused on supporting survivors of domestic violence. The event was being organized by a friend of mine, Rachel, who was known for her philanthropic efforts and advocacy work. Rachel and I had lost touch over the years, but her message struck a chord with me. I decided to attend the event, seeing it as an opportunity to reconnect with an old friend and contribute to a cause that resonated deeply with my own experiences. The event was held at a community center, and as soon as I walked in, I was greeted by a warm and welcoming atmosphere. Rachel was there, radiating the same enthusiasm and kindness I remembered. We caught up briefly, and she introduced me to several people involved in the organization. Throughout the evening, I listened to powerful stories of resilience and recovery from survivors and advocates. It was a humbling experience, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the stability and growth I had achieved. The event also offered a chance to meet new people who shared my commitment to making a positive impact. As the night progressed, I found myself deep in conversation with a woman named Emily, who was a counselor working with survivors. She was passionate about her work and had an insightful perspective on trauma and recovery. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, and we discovered a shared interest in supporting those who had faced similar challenges. Over the next few weeks, Emily and I continued to stay in touch. We began collaborating on a few projects aimed at raising awareness and providing support to individuals affected by domestic violence. Working together on these initiatives brought a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment to my life. Emily introduced me to a network of professionals and volunteers who were dedicated to making a difference in their communities. Through this network, I became involved in various outreach programs and advocacy efforts. It was rewarding to use my legal expertise to assist in creating safer environments for those in need. One of the most impactful moments came when I was asked to speak at a workshop about legal rights and protections for survivors. It was an opportunity to share my knowledge and offer practical advice to those who needed it most. The experience was both challenging and deeply gratifying, as I saw firsthand how my efforts could make a tangible difference. As my involvement with these organizations grew, so did my sense of connection and belonging. The friendships and professional relationships I had cultivated provided a new layer of support and enrichment in my life. The work I was doing had become more than just a job or a hobby, it was a core part of who I was becoming. One evening, while reflecting on my journey, I received a call from Sam, who had been following my progress from afar. He expressed his admiration for the positive changes I had made and invited me to visit him again. It was a gesture of friendship that reminded me of the importance of maintaining connections and cherishing the people who support us. The visit to Sam's lake house was a welcome break from my busy schedule. We spent time reminiscing and discussing the future. Sam's encouragement and support continued to be a source of strength as I navigated this new chapter in my life. As autumn gave way to winter, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The past year had been transformative, and I was finally at a point where I could look back with a sense of pride and forward with optimism. The connections I had made, both personal and professional, were helping to shape a future that was rich with possibility. The lessons learned from my journey had become a foundation for a life filled with purpose and growth. The new connections I had forged were not just a means of moving forward but a testament to the resilience and strength I had discovered within myself. As the snow began to fall, I embraced the season with a renewed sense of hope and a commitment to continuing on this path of positive change. Winter had settled in, blanketing the world outside with a layer of pristine white. The snow-covered landscape was a stark contrast to the turbulence of the past year. My life had become a series of small, deliberate steps towards rebuilding and renewal. Each day brought its own set of challenges and rewards, but I felt more grounded than I had in a long time. One quiet afternoon, while sipping coffee by the window, I received a letter from the local community center. It was an invitation to participate in a panel discussion about recovery and resilience, focusing on personal and professional growth after facing significant life challenges. The letter mentioned that they had heard about my recent efforts and believed my experiences would provide valuable insights. I was intrigued but also apprehensive. Public speaking had never been my forte, and the thought of sharing my personal journey in such a setting was daunting. However, after a moment of reflection, I decided that this was an opportunity to further contribute to the cause and share what I had learned along the way. The day of the panel discussion arrived, and I walked into the community center with a mix of nerves and anticipation. The room was filled with familiar faces from the charity events, as well as new ones eager to hear the stories and advice of those who had navigated their own paths of recovery. As the discussion began, I listened intently to the other panelists, each with their unique experiences and perspectives. When it was my turn to speak, I took a deep breath and began to share my story. I spoke about the betrayal, the fallout, and the steps I had taken to rebuild my life. I discussed how connecting with others, engaging in new activities, and focusing on personal growth had been instrumental in my recovery. To my surprise, the audience was highly receptive. They nodded in understanding and asked thoughtful questions. Sharing my experiences in such an open forum was both cathartic and empowering. It was a chance to not only reflect on my journey but also to inspire others who might be facing similar struggles. As the event concluded, I was approached by several attendees who expressed their gratitude for my insights. They shared their own stories of hardship and how they had found their way through difficult times. It was humbling to see how my experiences resonated with others and provided them with a sense of hope and direction. Among those who approached me was a young woman named Julia. She was a writer who had recently experienced a personal crisis and was working on a book about recovery and resilience. Julia expressed her interest in incorporating some of my experiences into her book, hoping to offer readers a broader perspective on overcoming adversity. We discussed the details over coffee in the weeks that followed. Julia's project was compelling, and I was honored to contribute. Collaborating on this book provided me with another outlet to process my experiences and reach a wider audience. It was an opportunity to transform my personal journey into a source of inspiration and guidance for others. As winter continued, I found myself reflecting on how much had changed. The challenges I had faced were no longer just painful memories but valuable lessons that had shaped my growth. Each new connection, each project, and each moment of self-discovery had contributed to a more fulfilled and balanced life. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace reading through some of the notes Julia had sent me, I realized that I was at a point of true reflection. The pain and anger from the past had been replaced by a sense of understanding and acceptance. I had learned that recovery wasn't about erasing the past but about integrating it into a new narrative. The season's first snowfall brought with it a sense of renewal. The world outside seemed to mirror the transformation within me. The future was still uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities and promise. I was no longer defined by the betrayals or the challenges I had faced but by the strength and resilience I had developed. As I closed the book and looked out at the snow-covered landscape, I felt a deep sense of peace. The journey of self-discovery and healing was ongoing, but I was ready to embrace whatever came next. The lessons learned had paved the way for a future where hope and growth took center stage. Spring arrived with a burst of color and vitality, breathing new life into the world after the quiet of winter. The days grew longer, and the warmth of the sun was a welcome change after the cold months. My life, too, seemed to be in a state of renewal. The projects I had been working on were flourishing, and my involvement in the community continued to deepen. One sunny afternoon, as I was organizing some files at my desk, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find a delivery person with a package for me. It was a large, unexpected box with no return address. I brought it inside and carefully opened it to find a collection of old photographs and letters. As I sifted through the contents, I recognized some of the photos from my past, family gatherings, old vacations, and moments that felt like they belonged to another lifetime. Among the items was a letter addressed to me, dated several years earlier. It was from my younger sister, Jessica, whom I hadn't seen or heard from in quite some time. I unfolded the letter, feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Jessica had been living overseas, and our communication had become sporadic. The letter was heartfelt and apologized for the lack of contact. It detailed the challenges she had faced and expressed a desire to reconnect. Jessica mentioned that she would be visiting the United States for a brief period and hoped to see me during her trip. Her words were a reminder of the familial bonds that had been strained but never entirely broken. A few weeks later, Jessica arrived in town. We met at a local cafe, where we embraced, and I was struck by how much she had changed since I last saw her. She had a maturity and depth to her that came from her experiences abroad. We spent the afternoon catching up on each other's lives, sharing stories, and reminiscing about our childhood. Jessica had been working with an international nonprofit organization, focusing on community development projects. Her passion for her work was evident, and it was inspiring to hear about the positive impact she had made in various parts of the world. As we talked, I realized how much I had missed having her in my life. Our relationship had been strained in the past due to various reasons, but her presence was a reminder of the importance of family and forgiveness. Jessica and I decided to spend more time together during her visit. We explored the city, visited old haunts, and even worked on a few community service projects together. Her visit brought a refreshing perspective and a sense of normalcy that I had been longing for. One evening, while we were sitting on the porch, Jessica broached a topic that had been on her mind. "Jackson," she began, "I've been thinking about how life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way. But it also offers chances for healing and growth. I've seen that in my own journey, and I've seen it in yours too." Her words resonated with me. The time spent reconnecting with Jessica had been a reminder of the strength that comes from rebuilding relationships and embracing change. It was a testament to the idea that healing was not just about moving forward but also about mending the connections that mattered. As Jessica's visit came to an end, we made a promise to stay in touch more regularly and to continue supporting each other. Her presence had been a valuable reminder of the importance of family and the possibilities for reconnection and reconciliation. With Jessica's departure, I returned to my routine, but the impact of her visit lingered. It had reaffirmed my commitment to personal growth and the importance of nurturing relationships. I continued to focus on my community work, my professional endeavors, and my own well-being. Spring turned into summer, and the world around me continued to flourish. The experiences of the past year had shaped a new chapter in my life, one marked by resilience, connection, and a renewed sense of purpose. The journey was ongoing, but I faced it with a heart full of hope and a readiness to embrace whatever came next. As I looked forward to the future, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and the relationships restored. The path I had walked was one of transformation and growth, and I was prepared to continue navigating it with the strength and wisdom I had gained. With summer in full swing, life took on a new rhythm. The vibrant energy of the season matched the renewed sense of purpose I felt. My routine was now a blend of work, community involvement, and personal pursuits, each aspect contributing to a more balanced and fulfilling life. One particularly warm afternoon, as I was working in my garden, a new hobby that had become a source of joy and relaxation, I received a call from Julia, the writer I had been collaborating with. Her book about recovery and resilience was nearing completion, and she wanted to meet to discuss the final details and potential publication. We arranged to meet at a local cafe, and as we talked about the book, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Julia's project had become an important part of my life, allowing me to channel my experiences into something meaningful. The book was shaping up to be a powerful resource for those navigating their own journeys of healing. During our meeting, Julia shared some exciting news. A prominent publishing house had expressed interest in the book and wanted to arrange a launch event. The prospect of seeing our work come to fruition was exhilarating, and it felt like a significant milestone in my path of personal growth. The planning for the book launch began in earnest. We worked together to organize the event, which would be held at a well-known local venue. The preparation was a whirlwind of activity, from coordinating with the publisher to finalizing guest lists and promotional materials. As the launch date approached, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this point. The book was more than just a publication, it was a testament to the resilience and strength that had emerged from the challenges I had faced. It was a way to give back and support others who might be struggling. On the day of the launch, the venue was filled with a diverse crowd: friends, family, community members, and professionals from the field of mental health and recovery. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and excitement. Julia and I took the stage to speak about the book and our experiences. As I looked out at the audience, I felt a mixture of nerves and pride. Sharing my story in this context was different from previous public speaking engagements, it was deeply personal and meaningful. The response from the audience was overwhelmingly positive. Many attendees approached me afterward, expressing their appreciation and sharing their own stories of resilience. It was humbling and gratifying to see how our work had touched so many lives. As the event concluded, Julia and I celebrated our success and discussed the next steps. The book had garnered attention and positive reviews, and it was clear that it had made an impact. We planned to continue our collaboration on future projects and to explore additional ways to support individuals on their journey to recovery. With the book launch behind us, I returned to my routine with a renewed sense of energy and purpose. The summer continued to unfold with a series of personal and professional milestones. I remained actively involved in community service, finding new ways to contribute and support causes that mattered to me. One evening, as I sat on the porch watching the sunset, I reflected on the past year. The journey had been one of transformation, marked by both challenges and triumphs. The connections I had made, the projects I had undertaken, and the personal growth I had experienced had all contributed to a richer and more fulfilling life. The future was bright with possibilities. I was no longer defined by the past but by the strength and resilience I had cultivated. The experiences of the past year had shaped a new beginning, one filled with hope, purpose, and the promise of continued growth. As I looked ahead, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the path I had walked and the lessons I had learned. The new beginnings that lay before me were not just about moving forward but about embracing the journey with an open heart and a readiness to make the most of every opportunity. The chapter of my life marked by betrayal and heartbreak had given way to one of healing and renewal. The new beginnings were a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of embracing change with hope and optimism. The road ahead was filled with potential, and I was eager to continue exploring the possibilities that lay before me. As the summer days slowly transitioned into fall, life seemed to be settling into a comfortable routine. My involvement in community projects, the success of the book, and the steady flow of work all contributed to a sense of stability and contentment. I felt as though I was finally moving forward with a clear sense of purpose and a renewed outlook on life. However, as with all things in life, change is inevitable, and it often arrives unexpectedly. One crisp October morning, I was going through my usual stack of emails when I noticed one from an unfamiliar address. It was a message from a former colleague, Mark, who I hadn't heard from in years. Mark was known for his expertise in corporate law, and we had worked together on several high-profile cases before our professional paths diverged. The email was a request to meet and discuss a matter of mutual interest. Mark mentioned that he had stumbled upon some troubling information regarding Tom, the colleague who had been involved with Kate. The email hinted at potential legal and ethical violations that could have significant ramifications. Curiosity and a sense of unresolved tension stirred within me. I hadn't thought much about Tom since his departure, but the notion that there might be more to his story intrigued me. I agreed to meet Mark, and we arranged to catch up at a downtown cafe. When we met, Mark wasted no time getting to the point. He revealed that he had been investigating some of Tom's business dealings and had uncovered evidence of serious misconduct. Tom's actions involved fraudulent financial activities and violations of corporate regulations. Mark believed that Tom's activities were not only illegal but also deeply damaging to numerous stakeholders. As Mark laid out the details, I was struck by a mixture of emotions. On one hand, I felt a sense of vindication. The idea that Tom's wrongdoings could be exposed provided a form of poetic justice. On the other hand, I grappled with the ethical implications of getting involved. Tom's actions had already caused significant damage, but bringing him to justice could potentially impact innocent parties and create a ripple effect that reached beyond my initial grievance. Mark, sensing my hesitation, urged me to consider the broader implications. He suggested that if I decided to act, it should be with careful consideration and a focus on ensuring that justice was served in a way that minimized harm to others. He also assured me that his intentions were purely professional, with no personal vendetta. After our meeting, I spent days weighing my options. I revisited the motivations behind my original desire for revenge and compared them to the potential impact of exposing Tom's misconduct. The decision wasn't easy, and I struggled with conflicting feelings of justice, morality, and the potential consequences. Ultimately, I decided to take a measured approach. I agreed to collaborate with Mark on a legal strategy that would address Tom's violations while also ensuring that the process was fair and transparent. We worked together to gather evidence and prepare a case that would hold Tom accountable without causing unnecessary collateral damage. The process was intense and demanding. We meticulously reviewed documents, interviewed witnesses, and consulted with experts to build a comprehensive case. Throughout the investigation, I was reminded of the importance of integrity and the responsibility that came with wielding legal power. As we approached the culmination of our efforts, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The decision to act was not just about retribution but about ensuring accountability and upholding the principles of justice. It was a way to channel my experiences into a positive outcome that aligned with my values. When the case was finally brought to light, it garnered significant attention. Tom faced legal consequences for his actions, and the exposure of his misconduct led to reforms within the affected organizations. The outcome was a reminder of the power of justice and the importance of acting with both courage and compassion. In the aftermath, I found a sense of closure. The challenge had tested my resolve and reminded me of the complexities of navigating ethical and legal dilemmas. It reinforced my commitment to maintaining a balance between personal interests and the greater good. As fall turned to winter, I continued to focus on the positive aspects of my life. The experiences of the past year had shaped me into someone more resilient and mindful. I remained actively involved in community efforts, cherished the relationships I had rebuilt, and embraced new opportunities with optimism. The unforeseen challenge had been a pivotal moment in my journey, one that underscored the importance of justice, integrity, and personal growth. It was a testament to the unpredictable nature of life and the need to navigate its twists and turns with both strength and empathy. As winter set in, the world outside was cloaked in a serene blanket of snow. The quiet beauty of the season provided a fitting backdrop for introspection and reflection. My life had undergone significant changes over the past year, and I was beginning to feel a sense of equilibrium. The challenges I had faced, the new connections I had made, and the personal growth I had achieved all contributed to a renewed sense of purpose. One chilly afternoon, while I was organizing some files at home, the phone rang. It was a call from my old college friend, Nathan. We hadn't been in touch for years, and his voice on the other end of the line was both unexpected and nostalgic. Nathan had recently moved back to town and was interested in catching up. We hadn't seen each other since before my life had taken the dramatic turn it had, and I was eager to reconnect. We arranged to meet at a cozy restaurant that had recently opened, a place known for its warm ambiance and excellent food. When we met, it was as though no time had passed. Nathan's easygoing demeanor and sense of humor were a refreshing reminder of simpler times. We spent hours reminiscing about our college days, discussing our careers, and catching up on the events of the past decade. As our conversation shifted to more personal topics, Nathan was curious about the changes in my life. I shared some of my recent experiences, the betrayal, the journey of recovery, and the new directions I had taken. Nathan listened attentively, offering support and understanding. It was a reminder of how valuable old friendships could be in times of change. Nathan had been through his own share of challenges. He had recently navigated a difficult period in his career and personal life, but he was now focused on new opportunities and personal growth. His resilience and positive outlook were inspiring, and our conversation was a reminder of the strength that comes from facing adversity with courage. As the evening progressed, Nathan and I discussed the possibility of collaborating on a project. He had recently started a nonprofit organization aimed at supporting young entrepreneurs and providing them with mentorship and resources. Given my legal background and experience in community work, he thought there might be opportunities for us to work together. The idea intrigued me. It was a chance to combine my skills and interests with Nathan's vision for supporting emerging talent. We explored several potential projects, including workshops, mentorship programs, and legal support for aspiring entrepreneurs. Over the next few months, Nathan and I worked closely to develop our ideas. The collaboration was energizing and fulfilling. It was a way to apply my experiences and skills in a new and meaningful context, helping others who were embarking on their own journeys of growth and success. As our projects began to take shape, I found a renewed sense of purpose. The work was not only professionally rewarding but also personally gratifying. It was a way to contribute to something greater than myself and to support individuals who were navigating their own challenges and opportunities. One evening, as I reviewed some of the feedback from our first workshops, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The positive impact we were making on the lives of young entrepreneurs was a testament to the power of collaboration and the importance of giving back. The rekindled connection with Nathan had brought new dimensions to my life. It was a reminder of the value of old friendships and the opportunities that arise from reconnecting with people who share your values and passions. The projects we were working on were a reflection of our mutual commitment to supporting others and fostering growth. As winter continued to unfold, I looked forward to the future with optimism and hope. The experiences of the past year had taught me valuable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of nurturing relationships. The new chapters in my life, marked by collaboration, personal growth, and meaningful connections, were a testament to the transformative power of embracing change and pursuing new opportunities. The journey had been one of self-discovery and renewal, and I was ready to continue exploring the possibilities that lay ahead. With a renewed sense of purpose and the support of friends and colleagues, I felt prepared to navigate whatever challenges and opportunities the future might bring. Winter was slowly giving way to spring, and the promise of new beginnings was in the air. My partnership with Nathan and our work with the nonprofit organization had continued to thrive. The workshops and mentorship programs were making a tangible difference, and I felt a deep sense of fulfillment from contributing to the success of others. One crisp March morning, I received a phone call that would change the course of my life once again. It was from a former colleague at the law firm, Grace, who had been involved in some of the high-stakes cases I had worked on in the past. Her voice was tinged with urgency, and she asked if we could meet as soon as possible. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe downtown. When we sat down, Grace wasted no time getting to the point. She revealed that there had been a significant development related to Tom's case. Despite his legal troubles and the fallout from the exposure of his misconduct, Tom had managed to secure a position at a new, high-profile law firm. Grace had uncovered troubling information suggesting that Tom was attempting to manipulate legal outcomes for personal gain, leveraging his new position to further his own interests. The news was startling. Tom's actions had not only impacted the companies he had previously worked with but now appeared to be affecting the broader legal landscape. Grace provided evidence indicating that Tom was involved in a scheme to influence court decisions and manipulate legal outcomes, a serious violation of ethical and legal standards. Grace suggested that we take immediate action to address this new development. The implications of Tom's actions were far-reaching, and it was crucial to act swiftly to prevent further harm. She proposed a coordinated effort to expose Tom's misconduct and ensure that justice was served. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on me. The decision to take action involved not only revisiting the complexities of Tom's previous case but also confronting the potential fallout from exposing his new activities. The challenge was to balance the need for justice with the potential consequences for the legal community and the individuals affected. After careful consideration, I agreed to work with Grace on a strategy to address the issue. We began by gathering evidence, consulting with experts, and formulating a plan to bring Tom's actions to light. The process was intensive, involving meticulous research, legal analysis, and strategic planning. As we delved deeper into the investigation, I found myself grappling with a mix of emotions. The pursuit of justice was not only about addressing Tom's wrongdoings but also about navigating the ethical and professional implications of our actions. It was a reminder of the complexities of the legal profession and the responsibility that came with it. Our efforts culminated in a formal report outlining Tom's misconduct and the evidence supporting our claims. We presented our findings to the appropriate authorities, ensuring that the information was handled with the utmost care and confidentiality. The response from the authorities was swift. An investigation was launched, and Tom's actions were scrutinized thoroughly. The process was challenging, and it required a great deal of patience and perseverance. As the investigation unfolded, the legal community took note of the case, and it became a topic of widespread discussion. Throughout this period, I remained focused on the goal of ensuring that justice was served while minimizing any unintended consequences. The experience was a reminder of the delicate balance between pursuing the truth and managing the broader impact of our actions. As the spring thawed into summer, the investigation concluded with significant repercussions for Tom. He faced legal consequences for his actions, and the case served as a powerful reminder of the importance of ethical conduct in the legal profession. The outcome provided a sense of closure, not only for me but also for the many individuals and organizations affected by Tom's misconduct. It was a testament to the power of persistence and the importance of holding individuals accountable for their actions. With the resolution of the case, I returned to my focus on community work and the projects with Nathan. The experience had reinforced my commitment to justice and ethical conduct, and it had also highlighted the importance of remaining steadfast in the face of challenges. As summer approached, I looked forward to the opportunities and possibilities that lay ahead. The journey of the past year had been marked by significant growth, both personally and professionally. The lessons learned and the experiences gained had shaped a new chapter in my life, one filled with purpose, resilience, and the promise of continued positive impact. The unexpected turn of events had been a powerful reminder of the complexities of life and the importance of navigating challenges with integrity and dedication. As I moved forward, I embraced the future with renewed hope and a commitment to making a difference in the lives of others. As the summer sun warmed the days and the world outside burst into vibrant colors, I felt a renewed sense of optimism and possibility. The resolution of Tom's case had provided a sense of closure and a fresh perspective on my journey. With the challenges behind me, I focused on embracing the opportunities that lay ahead. One morning, while working on some new initiatives for the nonprofit organization, I received an unexpected phone call from Kate. The call was a reminder of the complexity of our past and the ways in which it continued to shape our present. Kate's voice was hesitant but sincere as she reached out to discuss the possibility of meeting. We hadn't spoken much since the tumultuous end of our relationship, and I was unsure of what to expect. After some consideration, I agreed to meet her at a park that held many memories from our past. When we met, Kate appeared both nervous and resolute. She had been reflecting on the past year and wanted to talk about the changes she had undergone since the end of our marriage. She shared that she had been in therapy, working through her own issues, and was trying to rebuild her life and career. The conversation was difficult but important. Kate spoke about her regret and the impact that her actions had on both our lives. She acknowledged the mistakes she had made and expressed a desire to make amends, not just with me, but in her own life as well. Her honesty and vulnerability were striking, and I could see the genuine effort she was making to understand and address her past behavior. While I listened, I realized how much both of us had changed since the end of our marriage. The pain of betrayal had been replaced with a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. The conversation was a step toward closure, but it was also an opportunity for both of us to acknowledge the growth we had experienced. As our discussion came to a close, Kate asked if there was any possibility of rebuilding a semblance of friendship. She understood if I needed more time, but she hoped that we could find a way to move forward in a more positive manner. I appreciated Kate's willingness to take responsibility and her sincere desire to make things right. While I wasn't sure if friendship was feasible, I acknowledged the importance of moving forward with mutual respect and understanding. We agreed to stay in touch and to continue working on our personal growth separately. With this new chapter of closure and understanding, I turned my focus back to the projects and opportunities that lay ahead. The summer brought with it a renewed sense of energy and purpose. Nathan and I continued to develop our nonprofit initiatives, and our work was gaining momentum. We were planning a major event aimed at raising awareness and funds for young entrepreneurs, and the preparations were in full swing. The event, scheduled for late summer, was designed to highlight the achievements of the entrepreneurs we had been supporting and to showcase the impact of our programs. It was an exciting and ambitious project, and the team was working diligently to ensure its success. As the event approached, the community's support and enthusiasm were palpable. The energy and optimism surrounding the project were invigorating, and I felt a deep sense of pride in the work we were doing. It was a reminder of the positive change that could come from dedicated efforts and collaboration. On the day of the event, the venue was filled with an eager and engaged audience. Entrepreneurs shared their stories, and the impact of the nonprofit's support was evident. The event was a resounding success, and it served as a testament to the power of community and the importance of nurturing talent and innovation. As I looked around the room, seeing the smiles and hearing the applause, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The journey that had begun with personal trials and challenges had led to a place of growth and positive impact. The road ahead was filled with possibilities, and I was ready to embrace each new opportunity with hope and enthusiasm. The experiences of the past year had taught me valuable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of moving forward with purpose. As I looked to the future, I felt confident in my ability to navigate whatever challenges and opportunities might come my way. The journey was ongoing, and I was prepared to continue making a difference in the lives of others while also finding fulfillment in my own. The summer's end marked not just the conclusion of a season but the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with promise, growth, and the potential to make a lasting impact. As I stepped into this new phase of my life, I did so with a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and a readiness to embrace the future with optimism and determination. As autumn arrived, bringing with it a crisp breeze and colorful leaves, I found myself at a crossroads. The past months had been filled with accomplishments and growth, but the sense of satisfaction also brought a certain weight of reflection. My involvement with the nonprofit and the recent event had reaffirmed my commitment to making a positive impact. Yet I was beginning to sense an internal shift, a desire to explore new directions and challenges. One afternoon, while working on new strategic plans for the nonprofit, I received a letter from an old mentor, Professor Williams, who had guided me during my early years in law school. His letter was an invitation to speak at a prestigious conference on legal ethics and corporate responsibility. The opportunity was both flattering and daunting. The conference was known for attracting leading experts in the field, and the chance to share my experiences and insights was both exciting and intimidating. I decided to accept the invitation, seeing it as a valuable opportunity to reflect on my journey and contribute to the broader conversation about legal ethics. Preparing for the conference required extensive research and thoughtful reflection on the lessons I had learned over the years. As I worked on my speech, I was reminded of the challenges I had faced and the growth that had come from those experiences. The process of crafting my presentation was both cathartic and illuminating. It allowed me to consolidate my thoughts on justice, ethical conduct, and the role of personal integrity in the legal profession. In the weeks leading up to the conference, I continued my work with the nonprofit and remained engaged in various community projects. The balance between my professional responsibilities and my personal pursuits was challenging but rewarding. The work I was doing was meaningful, and it was clear that it was making a difference in the lives of those we were supporting. On the day of the conference, I arrived at the venue, which was buzzing with activity and anticipation. The event was held in a grand hall, and the atmosphere was one of intellectual rigor and excitement. As I prepared to speak, I felt a mix of nervousness and eagerness. The chance to share my experiences with a distinguished audience was both a privilege and a responsibility. My presentation focused on the journey from personal crisis to professional reinvention, highlighting the importance of ethical conduct and the impact of integrity in the legal profession. I spoke about the challenges I had faced, the lessons learned, and the ways in which those experiences had shaped my approach to justice and accountability. The response from the audience was overwhelmingly positive. Many attendees approached me afterward, expressing their appreciation for my insights and sharing their own experiences. The conversations that followed were engaging and thought-provoking, and they provided valuable perspectives on the topics discussed. The conference also offered an opportunity to network with professionals in the field and to explore potential collaborations. I met several individuals whose work aligned with my interests, and we discussed possible future projects and initiatives. The connections made at the conference opened new doors and provided fresh ideas for ways to contribute to the field of legal ethics and corporate responsibility. As I reflected on the conference experience, I realized that I was at a pivotal moment in my career. The opportunity to speak and the connections made were a reminder of the potential for growth and exploration. I began to consider new possibilities for expanding my impact and continuing to make a difference in both the legal and community spheres. The autumn days grew shorter, and the year approached its end. I took time to evaluate my goals and aspirations, recognizing that the crossroads I faced were a chance to redefine my path. The experiences of the past year had been transformative, and I was eager to explore new avenues for personal and professional development. As I looked to the future, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. The journey had been one of resilience, growth, and discovery, and I was ready to embrace the opportunities that lay ahead. The crossroads were not just a point of decision but a gateway to new possibilities and a chance to continue making a meaningful impact. The end of the year marked not only the conclusion of a chapter but the beginning of a new one filled with potential and promise. With a sense of anticipation and determination, I prepared to step into the next phase of my journey, ready to face the challenges and opportunities that awaited. As winter descended and the year drew to a close, the chilly air was filled with a sense of reflection and anticipation. The past months had brought new experiences and opportunities, and as I prepared for the transition into a new year, I felt a profound sense of readiness for change. One cold December morning, while enjoying a quiet cup of coffee at my favorite cafe, I received a call from an old friend and colleague. David had recently taken on a leadership role at a well-regarded legal think tank and was interested in discussing a potential collaboration. The opportunity was intriguing, and I agreed to meet with him to explore the possibilities. We met at his office, a sleek, modern space filled with energy and innovation. David's enthusiasm was infectious as he outlined the think tank's goals and initiatives. The organization was focused on addressing critical issues in legal reform, ethics, and corporate responsibility. They were looking for someone with my background and experience to contribute to their projects and research. The prospect of working with the think tank was both exciting and challenging. It presented an opportunity to engage with complex legal issues on a broader scale and to contribute to meaningful reform efforts. David and I discussed various projects, including research on legal ethics, policy recommendations, and public advocacy campaigns. As we talked, I realized that this collaboration aligned with my growing interest in expanding my impact beyond the local community and into the national arena. The think tank's focus on legal reform and corporate responsibility was a natural extension of the work I had been doing with the nonprofit and the experiences I had shared at the conference. After careful consideration, I decided to join the think tank as a senior advisor. The role offered a chance to work with a diverse group of experts and to contribute to important projects that could shape the future of legal practice and ethics. The transition to this new role was both invigorating and demanding. I immersed myself in the think tank's work, collaborating with colleagues on research projects, policy recommendations, and public outreach initiatives. The experience was intellectually stimulating and provided a fresh perspective on the challenges and opportunities within the legal field. In addition to my work with the think tank, I continued to be involved in community projects and to support the nonprofit organization. Balancing these responsibilities required careful planning and time management, but it was a rewarding challenge. The work I was doing in both arenas was making a tangible difference, and the ability to contribute to multiple initiatives was deeply fulfilling. The new year brought with it a sense of renewal and optimism. The opportunities and connections I had made over the past year had opened doors to new experiences and growth. I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement about the future. As winter gave way to spring, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this point. The path had been marked by personal and professional challenges, but it had also been a journey of resilience, growth, and transformation. The experiences of the past year had shaped a new chapter in my life, one filled with opportunities to make a meaningful impact and to continue growing both personally and professionally. The fresh start that lay ahead was a testament to the power of embracing change and pursuing new opportunities. With a sense of anticipation and determination, I looked forward to the future, ready to face the challenges and opportunities that awaited. The journey was ongoing, and I was prepared to continue exploring the possibilities and making a difference in the lives of others. As I stepped into this new phase of my career and life, I did so with a profound sense of gratitude and excitement. The experiences of the past year had provided valuable lessons and insights, and I was eager to build on those foundations. The future was bright with promise, and I was ready to embrace it with an open heart and a commitment to making a positive impact. As spring blossomed into full bloom, bringing renewed energy and vibrant possibilities, my new role at the think tank had started to settle into a productive rhythm. The work was engaging, the projects were meaningful, and I felt a deep sense of satisfaction from the contributions I was making. Balancing this with my ongoing commitments to the nonprofit and community work was challenging but fulfilling. Life seemed to be moving forward with a positive momentum. One afternoon, as I was wrapping up a meeting at the think tank, I received a message that caught me off guard. It was from Emily, a former colleague and a friend from my earlier years in the legal field. Emily and I had lost touch over the years, and her reaching out was unexpected. Her message was a request to meet and catch up. Given our past friendship and the positive memories I had of her, I agreed to meet. We arranged to get together for lunch at a charming bistro downtown. When Emily arrived, she looked both familiar and different. The years had changed us both, but the warmth and friendliness that characterized our previous interactions were still present. We settled into a corner table and began to catch up on each other's lives. Emily shared that she had been working in a different sector for the past several years, focusing on social justice and advocacy. Her work had taken her to various parts of the world, and she spoke passionately about the projects she had been involved in. Her dedication and accomplishments were impressive, and it was clear that she had found a path that was both fulfilling and impactful. As we talked, Emily expressed curiosity about my recent work and the changes in my life. I shared updates about my role at the think tank, the nonprofit projects, and the personal growth I had experienced over the past year. Our conversation flowed easily, and it felt as though no time had passed. The discussion turned to a topic that had been on Emily's mind: an upcoming international conference on social justice and legal reform. She was organizing a panel discussion on ethical practices in legal professions and thought I might be interested in participating. The conference was a prestigious event, and the panel would include leading experts and activists from around the world. The opportunity was intriguing. It aligned with my recent work and interests, and it was a chance to contribute to an important global conversation. Emily's invitation was both flattering and exciting, and I agreed to participate. In the weeks that followed, I prepared for the conference, working closely with Emily and her team to develop a presentation that would address key issues in legal ethics and reform. The process was intellectually stimulating and provided a fresh perspective on the global challenges and opportunities in the field. The conference took place in a vibrant international city, and the event was a whirlwind of activity and discussion. The panel discussion was well received, and the interactions with fellow experts and activists were both enlightening and inspiring. The diverse perspectives and innovative ideas shared at the conference highlighted the importance of cross-cultural collaboration and the power of collective action. As the conference concluded, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement about the future. The experiences and connections made during the event opened new possibilities for collaboration and impact. It was a reminder of the global nature of the challenges we face and the importance of working together to address them. The unexpected reunion with Emily had led to a valuable opportunity for growth and contribution. It was a reminder of the importance of staying connected with old friends and being open to new possibilities. The collaboration had provided new insights and opportunities for making a difference on a broader scale. Returning home, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this point. The past year had been one of transformation and renewal, marked by personal growth, professional achievements, and meaningful connections. As I continued to navigate the complexities of my career and personal life, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the experiences and opportunities that had shaped my path. With the spring air carrying a sense of promise, I looked forward to the future with optimism and excitement. The journey was ongoing, and I was ready to embrace the new challenges and opportunities that awaited. The unexpected reunion had been a testament to the power of connections and the potential for growth that comes from embracing change and pursuing new horizons.